Ladies and gentlemen, members of the Security Council, thank you for granting me this opportunity to address you today. My name is Ali. I am a Libyan activist and a human rights defender and a former prisoner of conscience. I speak to you from exile as the director of Libya Crimes Watch, an organization dedicated for over 5 years to monitoring and documenting human rights violations in Libya and advocating for accountability. I speak to you today to convey the voices of victims and survivors who endure in silence under the weight of daily violations and crimes in Libya. Since the beginning of this year, LCW, our organization, has documented 281 grave human rights violations perpetrated by both Eastern and Western authorities in Libya. These figures are not mere statistics, but reflect harrowing stories and real tragedies of victims, including the most vulnerable groups such as women and migrants, as well as activists, journalists, lawyers, and others. These violations include torture in prisons, arbitrary arrests, enforced disappearances, and extrajudicial killings. Such practices not only destroy the lives of individuals and their families, but also sow fear throughout society and undermine any hope for peace. These heinous crimes are not isolated acts, but systematic and recurrent, carried out and overseen by security agencies and military groups affiliated with all parties to the conflict in Libya, including the Libyan Armed Arab Forces, the Government of National Unity, the government endorsed by the Libyan House of Representatives in the East, and the Libyan Presidential Council. Madam President, prisons and unofficial detention centers represent a dangerous and ongoing phenomenon. In these places, human dignity is stripped away, and individuals are treated as mere numbers without value. For instance, in November last year, LCW documented the death under torture of 3 detainees in an unofficial detention center in Benghazi, including a woman and 2 followers of Sufi orders, and Sufi orders are one of the minorities subjected to violations for years. Madam President, distinguished members, civil society in Libya continues to face systematic repression and ongoing intimidation. This year alone, LCW documented the arrest of over 50 female and male activists by security and military agencies in eastern and western Libya on vague charges justified by repressive laws such as the anti-cybercrime law and the anti-terrorism law. Numerous decisions and regulations have further restricted the work of local and international organizations, making civil work from inside Libya nearly impossible, and forcing many activists to flee and operate from exile. In October 2023, LCW documented the arbitrary detention of 5 political activists in Benghazi by the Internal Security Agency for 10 months without trial. In April of this year, one of these detainees died under mysterious circumstances in the prison with no investigation conducted. To this day, freedom of expression in Libya remains a crime. In September, security forces in the East arrested 16 individuals, including 4 children, for participating in a demonstration supporting the former regime. Following the catastrophic collapse of the Derna dams in September 2023, demonstrators were arrested for expressing their opinions and demanding accountability for corruption and negligence, which have led to deaths of thousands of innocent people in Derna. As this council mandates the United Nations Support Mission in Libya to oversee elections ensuring a safe and conducive environment for free elections has become an urgent priority. This includes protecting the fundamental right to freedom of expression and involving all groups, including vulnerable communities, minorities, and civil society. This is a prerequisite for guaranteeing the integrity of elections in Libya. Madam President, the persistence of these violations poses a serious threat to social peace and stability in Libya. The political division and continuation of illegitimate bodies deepen the crisis and hinder accountability. The failure of past political processes has not only prolonged the conflict, but also created a breeding ground for impunity. Therefore, the Security Council must act now by shifting its focus to one where accountability is prioritized. Madam President, how can a country where individuals accused of war crimes and crimes against humanity hold the senior positions of power, how can such a country organize fair and transparent elections? Libyan civil society and human rights movement in exile demand that accountability takes precedence over any electoral process. No political process can succeed when justice is obstructed and impunity reigns. Madam President, ladies and gentlemen, we urge the Security Council and Member States to take decisive action to end the prolonged conflict and political division in Libya. Accountability must be a top priority before any political or electoral process. Therefore, we call for the establishment of an independent international mechanism to investigate violations and hold perpetrators accountable. Such a mechanism is essential for identifying individuals who exploit impunity to obstruct the political and transitional justice processes. It will also ensure an environment conducive to enabling the Libyan nation to determine its future through fair and free elections that reflect the aspirations of all. We further call on the Security Council to enhance UNSMIL's mandate with a greater focus on protecting human rights and monitoring violations. UNSMIL should work directly with Libyan authorities in both the east and west to end arbitrary detentions, halt torture in prisons and unofficial detention centers, release all arbitrarily detained individuals, and reveal the fate of those forcibly disappeared. We also stress the need for the Security Council and Member States to collectively press Libyan authorities and all parties to the conflict to cease ongoing violations and international crimes, protect civil society, and end the campaigns of repression against human rights defenders and activists. A stable and secure future for Libya cannot be built without respecting fundamental freedoms, including freedom of expression and peaceful assembly. In conclusion, Madam President, ladies and gentlemen, I urge you to look into the eyes of the victims everywhere and listen to their voices. Your decisions today hold the power to make a tangible difference in the lives of millions. Thank you very much.